Welcome back to Mindelo in Cape Verde. We've spent the past couple of days shifting gears and trying to get everything ready for the big day. Yep, it's finally time. Our next sail is crossing the Atlantic. So stuff is feeling a little bit more real now. We are trying to get on with the last bits and bobs before we leave in a couple of days. Just been getting on with some food prep. This is one meal of 4 that I'm planning on making, so this is just a chili, not a silly chili. And yeah, haven't picked up the camera in what feels like forever, so a little out of practice. Anyway, that's all I've got for now. We got these side pieces made for the cockpit to help stop water coming in.
Perfect.
We decided to get these made after our sail down to Cape Verde when we could barely sit in the cockpit because of the splashing of the waves making their way in. It acts as a windbreaker too, which is useful since the wind would be coming from the aft for the upcoming passage. We made loads of dal that we would freeze for the passage, and then finally got around to installing our radar that we've had on board for almost 2 years now. Looks like it works. So good morning. We have a bit of news to share. We were going to leave tomorrow, and then yesterday we were out for the day just running some errands and things, and whilst we were out, Lars was starting to not feel great. So we came back to the boat and we did some self-tests. It turns out Lars has tested positive for COVID. My test came out negative, although I took that last night, and this morning I'm starting to feel a little bit like I've got a cold. But yeah, so that kind of is a bit of a hiccup for us. Changes plans quite a bit, and now we're not really sure what it means, but it's just been a lot of momentum to just come to a halt.
Yeah, it's a pretty weird situation, I guess. You know, we deliberately didn't cross last year so that we would avoid COVID and avoid any complications of COVID, because, you know, crossing is complicated enough. And then now, a year later, 2 days before we're about to set off, I get COVID. So it's not a disaster or anything. I mean, you know, COVID has been much more inconvenient for other people, but we were ready to go, and then boom, okay, so we're not leaving, and we're not sure now kind of what it means, but what it does seem to mean is that we're stuck on the boat, quarantining, which would be fine, except we were planning to be stuck on the boat for the next 20 days. So to like be now stuck on the boat, you know, just like making food, watching movies, whatever, for 5 days, and then setting off across the Atlantic is kind of not ideal. But we had to tell everybody in the anchorage, of course, but now it's awkward because I literally can't leave the boat for fear of harsh judgment. So all the errands that we were running yesterday, you know, all the stuff that we need to do on land before we go, we're a little bit stuck. Yeah, for now, just taking it easy and thinking about next steps.
This wasn't the news that we were hoping for, but we just had to sit tight and see how we'd feel in the following days. Turns out quite a few people in the anchorage also had caught COVID, so we weren't the only ones at least. But it meant that no one could leave, and we all just had to sit tight and delay our departure day.
It just so happens that the weather's not cooperating as well. So, you know, today was the day to go, and now a weather window closes for the next 10 days or so. And so everybody's just a bit, like, put out.
We've been putting our quarantine time to good use. We've just been cooking. Made banana pancakes this morning. Didn't get to capture it, sorry about that, guys. And now we're making a minestrone, because I'm really craving some stew or something a little bit hearty. And we're also just pickling up some onion. It's just a really good thing to add to sandwiches, or add just like as a topping on anything you have, and it keeps for a while. And then we just have to shake it around, right?
Yep.
And it shouldn't leak, but it is.
So today we've got a technician on board for the first time, I think, ever on Navika. He's helping us install some new instruments. I'm pretty happy with it. Check it out. Little Ray Marine.
Upgrade.
Yeah, it definitely brings Navika into the 21st century a little bit.
Now that we have it, I can't actually believe how long we went without a wind indicator or wind speed. It was 100% a good addition, despite the cost. Once we started feeling a bit better, we still couldn't leave the boat, so we did some exercise and yoga on deck. Thankfully, the anchorage was nice and flat. As the days went on, we would take dinghy trips to our other boat friends in the anchorage, who also had COVID, and we would have a little socially distanced chat from the dinghy. Everyone was itching to set off, but it was hard to know when exactly we'd all feel healthy enough to go. And trying to time our leaving with the weird weather forecast, which predicted very light winds, wasn't easy either.
So, yeah, it's been 2 weeks of quarantining, and it's starting to not feel real because we've just been trying to leave for the past 2 weeks now already. So, anyway, hopefully we'll be able to leave in 4 days' time.
We revisited our autopilot fix too, as we definitely didn't want to take any risks for the upcoming passage, which would be the longest that we've ever done. We bought plenty of spare bolts just in case it might happen again. After 2 weeks of being stuck on the boat, we were both healthy again and went to shore to get a change of scenery, finish off our errands, and have one of our final walks around Mindelo.
So our time in Mindelo is coming to an end soon. If all goes well, we are going to leave in 2 days. So we're just enjoying
Walking.
Yeah, walking, getting a walk in. And yeah, just really loving being here. Like, the city is really cool. Everyone's so lovely, and
We've had a good time, huh?
yeah, we've had a really good time here. We're going to be sad to leave.
Yeah. Thanks, Cape Verde. Thanks, Mindelo. It's been good.
So the big day has finally arrived. Apparently it's departure day. Still getting my head around it. It feels a bit surreal. It's a bit difficult to imagine being at sea for almost 3 weeks. Yeah, I'm definitely nervous. I think there's going to be a moment in the middle of the trip where I'm like, what? We're only halfway and we've been going for like 9-10 days? Especially because there's light winds as well, so it's really going to test our patience, or mine especially anyway. We're just getting on with some final jobs. We have Jonas, who's joined us last minute on this passage, which is really cool. I think both after Lars and I getting sick, we thought it might be a good idea to have an extra person with us, and he was super flexible, so he came out and joined us. And yeah, they're just cleaning the hull again. We had somebody clean it last week when we thought we were going to leave, but the growth comes back so fast, so here we are again. Luckily they're doing it and not me, but I'm doing some other things, just getting everything ship-shape down below. It's trying to feel good. We've got to go pick up a little bit more water and some fresh veggies and things, and then I think we'll be on our way. I can just hear loads of splashing going on.
So you might be wondering how Jonas came into the picture. This was a seriously last-minute occurrence. We were originally planning to do the passage just the two of us, but after both catching COVID, we started to think that having a third person might be a wise move. If one of us gets sick at sea, it makes it pretty difficult for the other person to manage everything and stay rested. Jonas is a colleague of Lars's, and they were on the phone saying bye 4 days before the passage when Lars remembered that Jonas also sails and said in passing, "Oh, what a shame you could have joined us for a passage." Jonas then responded by pointing out that there was a flight to Cape Verde in 2 days' time and that he was available to join. So he flew out the night before we left. In the morning, we ran some quick errands, and by midday, we were on our way.
Are you getting north or south in the end? North?
North?
Okay. Since we're gonna have some breakfast and then we're gonna be catching you up. Have the best time. Stay safe. Bye, guys. You too.
It's happening!
Go!
Bye, Mindelo! So we just left. So far, conditions are pretty perfect.
Couldn't be better.
Yeah, it's just, I don't want to jinx it, but so far we've just left. We've got about, 15 knots from Ahoy?
Yeah.
And we're doing about 6 knots basically average. So yeah, feeling good. We're just getting the last of the Wi-Fi before we leave the island, and yeah, just celebrating with a non-alcoholic beer. And we got Jonas here who's joining us for the passage. So yeah, going on 2 or 3 weeks.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Damn.
This was it. The moment that had been on our minds for the past 2 years. Crossing the Atlantic had been the big sailing goal we had been planning for since buying Navika. So much of the work that we've done on the boat was with this passage in mind, and in the months leading up to the departure, everything else in our lives went on pause as we focused on being ready for a smooth and safe crossing. We were nervous, excited, and fully focused when we finally set off.
It's just really, really cool to be out here. It's, as you can see, just like the most pleasant weather. Just getting to enjoy the views of São Vicente Island. Conditions are perfect! I'm getting a little bit too excited. It's only been like an hour or two. Should probably relax a bit into it.
We ended up leaving at the same time as about 20 other boats. This was the first good weather window we'd had in about 10 days, so it made sense that everyone left on the same day. It was pretty surreal seeing lots of other masts on the horizon that afternoon. It felt a bit like being a part of a regatta or a race. I can imagine it's similar to that feeling you might have when starting a marathon or something. Nervous but excited, and knowing that you're going through it with others makes it even more special.
Wow, it's been such a good first day so far. I mean, we're not really going very fast anymore. We're doing about 2 or 3 knots now, but it's just really calm seas. The sun's just going down. We've got loads of other boats around us. It's a really nice feeling actually to be able to see people and all feel like you're going to the same place, and it's just nice for the first few hours anyway, because I'm sure we're going to lose each other tomorrow. Yeah, just feeling good, easing into it, letting my mind settle as well as just getting used to all the creaks and noises, but just feeling really happy to be out here and lucky that it's a really chilled first day.
We decided to split our shifts into 4 hours, so as night fell, we transitioned into our watch system and started getting into our new routine. We left Mindelo right when there was a full moon, which meant that the first half of our passage was beautifully lit and made those first night shifts much easier. The boys put a line off the back of the boat, but we didn't have any luck with fishing that day. The next few days, we tried to get into a groove, and conditions were so calm that I even attempted doing some yoga down below, which to my surprise actually worked really well. It was so nice to stretch my limbs out a bit after being cooped up for hours. I was actually able to do this for most days on the passage, which was such a bonus. We'd always tried to eat our evening meal together, and had it just before nightfall, which would happen around 6 p.m, so it was quite an early dinner. We'd pre-frozen quite a lot of meals beforehand, as we knew from our passage down to Cape Verde that when conditions are rough, the last thing you want to do is make food from scratch. We ended up saving most of our frozen meals, thinking we'd maybe want them later on in the passage, when we were hoping for more wind. We didn't alternate watch times for this passage, as we found that when we did that before, we felt pretty out of sync sleep-wise, so we had the same shift times every day. Lars would do the first and last shifts of the day, from 8 to 12, which would allow him to think about the sail changes for the day ahead or before moving into night mode, where we would tend to reduce sail and be more conservative. We also wanted to give him the best shift, so to speak, so that if stuff ever did go wrong, he would be well rested to be able to give energy to it.
Day 3 already feels like we've been going for a pretty long time.
It meant that he did a lot of the cooking too, as he was pretty well rested, so we owe most of our meals to Lars on the crossing.
It's day 3 today. We are getting into a bit more of a flow, which is cool. Yeah, I just had some French toast this morning, pretty luxurious. And we're about to put the spinnaker up because we don't have as much wind today. So we're going to try holding out the head sail on one side and having the spinnaker on the other side. ¿Qué pasa?
The wind angle meant that we were more in a broad reach for the first days of the passage, and we actually had enough wind that we didn't use the spinnaker too much those first days.
It's day 4 and it's time for a shower.
And that worked pretty well.
Yeah. Feeling like a new person right now. That was wonderful.
Homemade bread, or boat-made bread. Scrambled eggs, parsley, homemade baked beans.
So this is the blob of death. It's like just a huge pocket in the middle of the Atlantic with no wind and loads of rain. Look at that. And thunder. Looks fun, huh?
So we're trying to figure out the route that we want to take. We have a weather router, Charlie, helping us out, giving us advice on what route to take to kind of avoid the worst of this blob of death, as we're calling it. We're just trying to use common sense a bit as well. We don't want to go too far out of our way. If there's a way that we can stay out of it and not head too far south, of course, then we'd like to do that, obviously.
I think we've got a good plan. We're gonna head for the 12th latitude, and then that will hopefully keep us in wind the entire time. We're gonna hit some rain, which also means we'll hit some like gusty weather and stuff, but
Maybe some thunder.
I mean, counterintuitively now the best for us is kind of to not sail too fast, which is a bit weird.
But then hopefully once we're past it, we can just go.
Then there's gonna be great wind and we'll just be flying
Yeah, excited for that.
for the rest of the journey, the rest of the trip. Yeah.
Not the worst thing though to have it more chilled in the first half and then peak climax moment. And then we're just like whoosh.
It's true.
Yeah.
These last days have been so relaxed.
Our friends, I think most of them are just gonna head straight into it, motor through it, but it's a huge patch.
It's 200 to 300 miles across.
You can't really avoid it.
So we're gonna try and sneak through here where the wind is. Where the wind continues under the worst of it there. So we're just tracking a little bit southwest, or west southwest to get through there.
But really we want to be on this line really to get to Martinique.
Fingers crossed.
Just had the camera on for ages and I just realised that I wasn't filming that whole time.
All right, take 2. We are sitting here debating what we should do to try and get around this weather system, the blob of death. We've been heading southwest for the last 4 days or so to try and get down and around it, but it just keeps spreading out west, so it doesn't look like we're going to get around it, so now we just need to choose a way across. If you look at the wind, we've actually done well. Like it made sense to come down southwest, so we're going to keep wind all the way through, it seems like. For the rain, it looks like it's going to be hard to avoid. In fact, it should be raining right now, but it's not. Yeah. So if you look here, we are this white little dot, and here is the big weather system forming right next to us. And our strategy is basically to head towards it and hope that it dissipates like there in time for us to clear through. And if we sail slow enough, that'll be the case. So I think we just head west and we slow the boat down a little bit and then hope for the best.
We've been wondering what to do all morning basically. And this morning we received an update from our friends who are in the blob of death right now. And they've got a lot of thunderstorms and lightning. Like they're putting all their stuff in the microwave because they're really scared of getting struck by lightning. So that didn't sound so fun. So then we were like, oh, let's just play it safe and head south. But now we've all kind of got a bit bored this afternoon. We're all a bit like, this is feeling really long and it's only day 5. So we're kind of up for a bit of excitement, which I'm wondering whether we'll look back at this and be like, we regret this massively, or whether we'll just be like, that was a really wise call. So anyway, we'll find out. We just can't be off course anymore. If you see us on the map, we're actually heading to Brazil. We are nowhere near our course. That's where we're going. Martinique is here where my thumb is.
That's depressing. I think we're gonna get very wet.
I don't know if we can avoid that though.
No, I don't think so either. And at this point, I'm ready to just run the gauntlet and see what happens.
Let's go. Okay,
Please, Jonas.
Heading to Martinique now!
here we go.
Alright. Whoa.
Any second now.
How far do you want to go?
Dramatic. 270.
Oh wow. Woohoo!
We're like 290 just now. Then we got to 270 and...
I will go release the print.
We got Jonas at the helm as well. He's trying to just do something.
Something on this boring sea. Spinning miles in nothingness.
We tried to play I Spy earlier. It didn't work very well.
It feels so good to walk up here. The rain is coming. So, email from Charlie. He's basically saying that whatever way we go is going to be the same at this point. So you might as well head west. We're about 100 miles away from the edge with the worst clouds. So that's good. That's what we were kind of hoping, right?
Yeah.
It rains everything now, and then we'll be hitting it still, but it'll be as it's like coming to the end, I think.
Okay.
The annoying thing is we're going really fast right now.
Yeah.
Ideally we'd be going a little bit slower. But Navika cannot resist. He's calling it a 5 out of 10 on intensity. If 10 is 60 knots and stinging rain, and 1 is a passing shower. I'm gonna bring the head sail in a little bit. So we're just watching the radar to see if there's any rain. I mean, we're in rain right now, but we're trying to see where the worst part of it is. That's a squall. That's a squall. That's a squall. It's gonna be difficult to avoid.
That's all for part 1. Join us next time for the next few days of our Atlantic crossing to see if our strategy paid off and we managed to avoid the worst of the stormy weather around the blob of death. We also make the most of calm seas that we decide to go for a dip in the middle of the ocean.
We've gone from the perfect day to the swell from hell.